Just the first of two cricket matches that we have for you today. And in the first one itself, we had two different innings in one innings. There was Lendl Simmons and there was the West Indies. In case you happen to have missed the first 20 overs, we'll try and explain and try and unearth what happened. Let's confirm the final score for you. 143 for 8. Looks like you can't really make out what happened there. And the name you would not see on the scorecard, actually you do see it. It's the third highest score. 16 of 35 deliveries, which was responsible for them not being maybe 160, 170 with the way Evan Lewis played with 56 of 35. Here we are, as I said, to try and unearth all that on Cricbuzz Live in the company of Joy Bhattacharjya and Harsha Bhogle. It seems strange when you look at that scorecard, Harsha. The least number of runs scored in a T20 game, or the most number of runs actually scored without a boundary, 35 balls for 16 runs. How do you explain that?
And I think at one point he'd only scored singles. I don't know if he got a double towards the end. If everybody has these days, which are nightmarish days, when you try to do something, it doesn't work out. I remember him trying to play some of those shots, which are his trademark shots. That didn't work either. But I think against the spinners, I would have liked him to show a little more intent, because it was very clear that he was putting pressure first on Evan Lewis, then on Nicholas Pooran. And while Evan Lewis was on form, he played a few deliveries and he played some great shots. He was 56 of 35. But look how many wickets they lost as the cascading effect of that one Lendl Simmons innings. Shimron Hetmyer 1 from 2. Russell, of course, got out to a very good ball. Nicholas Pooran 12 of 7. And just to put things in perspective, 143 is a distinctly subpar score, but all the other batsmen scored at 9 and over. The rest of the innings was 9 and over. So you can understand, as I think you might have said a little while ago, that they make 160 because someone has a slight off day, someone's strike rate is down. They should have made 160, and I think that was a very expensive miss.
Yeah, you can see with the innings progression, which doesn't necessarily entirely tell you, except for the fact that the middle phase was where they were just trying to recover from that innings. And for the longest time, Joy, it's one thing having a guy going slow. It's another thing looking at the dressing room and seeing Andre Russell, Shimron Hetmyer, Kieron Pollard. I think they were playing Scrabble in the dressing room, and we were trying to figure out what was. There's nothing else for them to do.
He gets out on the second ball of the 13th over. That's how long he plays. 35 balls, 29% of the innings for 16 runs. It just is devastating. And the problem I had, I was just thinking, I was looking at it and said that if the South Africans had a chance, there's this great saying by Bill Woodfull about the Bodyline series where he said that only one side's playing cricket. So here you could say only one batsman was playing T20 cricket because the other clearly wasn't. Yeah. It is. I find it very difficult to understand that he didn't attack early. Everyone can understand first 3 balls, 4 balls, 5 balls, 7 balls. But you played 35 balls. I mean, after a certain point, you have to go for it. And he never did.
Yeah, at 20, you even play a 0% shot if required. I mean, okay, I won't say 0% shot, a 10% shot if required. Because 0% shot means you're just leaving the stumps and getting out, which is very suspicious. But even a 10% chance shot, and then say, look, if it comes off, I connect 2, I get 2 sixes, that's great. But if it doesn't, I can't chew up balls anymore. And I think he's cost them 20 runs. So it's still a score. They've got something to bowl at, but I think batting was their stronger suit. They'll be very disappointed with this score. The West Indies desperately needed to win. They'll be really disappointed with what they've done.
Yeah, interesting. When we use the word failure in a game, sometimes 4 of 2 on a day where you don't come off is not necessarily a failure. You've got out, somebody else has come in, you've passed the baton, the innings continues. But 35 balls is actually failure because it's 35 balls that maybe Gale, Russell, Hetmyer, Pollard could have been playing at that point.
Yeah, in fact, Saurav Ganguly used to always say that in this format, everyone's not going to come off simply because you don't have time to get settled. So if you're set, you have to take advantage of it. And he got set and just sat out there and he ate chewed up balls. And look, my point is that with that kind of batting, if you put pressure on them, and as Harsha said, their strong point is batting. It's not that they're not renowned. This is not the best West Indian attack we've seen. It's a clever attack. It's a very slow bowling oriented attack, with Ravi Rampal and after McCoy is not playing. But it's not an attack that people are not sleepless nights over. And that's primarily the issue they have here.
Interesting, Harsha. if you were to look at it and say, okay, West Indies were in trouble, you think, okay, maybe they've been done by the pace of Nokia and Rabada. Maybe they couldn't pick Shamsi. None of that happened. If you look at it, Pretorius at the end, 2 overs, picks up 3 wickets. Aiden Makram bowls early on and keeps things really quiet. And Keshav Maharaj is a surprise pick for 2 wickets.
You need to look through those numbers a little bit. Aiden Markram, 3 overs, 22, but his first 2 overs cost 4 runs. And there's always a temptation to give you one more, but those first 2 overs for 4 have already had an impact on the match. And Dwayne Pretorius is allowed to bowl 2 overs, 3 for 17. I mean, that's still 8.5 an over because the batsmen are playing a very high-risk game and a lot of them are out. There's 2 moments that stood out for me. One was Nokia coming in bowling at the right time. They've done their matchups really well. When it comes to Pollard and Russell, you've got Nokia in. And something they might have imported from watching Pollard play in the IPL, which is having a fielder right behind the umpire, which is actually a tribute to how straight Kieron Pollard actually hits the ball. But now everybody is going to have a fielder there. And he was about 2/3 of the way? He wasn't even on the boundary. He was 2/3 or 3/4 of the way to the boundary. And he took the catch, which I think will ignite further debate on low catches. And luckily in ICC, we have a soft signal.
But ironically, Joy, it's Pollard who was one of the first to try the tactic himself against Andre Russell. Because Russell's another person who hits it there. And Pollard used to place sometimes himself, sometimes another fielder at that very position.
If you remember, that's the first fielder for whom it was there was actually Andre Russell. And Andre Russell just managed to clear that fielder. Then they got a taller fielder in. He was cleared again. And then basically they got Pollard out there. Yeah. What I was doing was I was looking at the history of this position because it's obviously a position where you're standing also with the side screen. You're literally behind the... And in 2014, there was a test match in Pakistan where the Australians were bowling and they just couldn't get Azhar Ali and company out. And they put a fielder out there and every commentator, including the Australian, Alan Border, turned on and said that it's an unfair position because, like Lomstar, it was frowned upon. And everyone looked at the rules. And of course, there's nothing in the rules that says that you can't put a field out there. But 5 years, 6 years hence, that has become quite an accepted position in T20 cricket.
I'd love to ask a batsman if a fielder is moving in front of the side screen, whether it's distracting because you stop the game when someone else is moving, or whether he needs to be static in that position. But even then, I mean, we stop a game for all kinds of things. I mean, I've actually heard batsmen saying, "Mujhe kuch dikhai nahi yaar, mere partner ne game rok diya." But it'd be interesting. I must ask a batsman that on whether that if someone's moving there, that's an issue. You could have 2 fielders then. Otherwise, one moving this way, one moving this way. That'd be completely distracting.
Yes, it would be something to look at because remember the other thing that happens, particularly in a test match when there are shadows, you can allow a forward short leg to be fielding if there's a shadow coming on, provided he stays absolutely still.
Really still, correct.
No. So the other thing is that if you how well you played. I mean, if the batsman wants to get rid of that, if I was the batsman, all I'd do is I'd allow bowler to run into me twice and just step away and saying there's movement, I can't do it. At which point the umpire would be forced to turn around and say that, I'm sorry, you can't put the player there, it's distracting the player. So there are ways to play. There's so much gamesmanship in the game. If a batsman twice just steps away saying that I can't see the ball, I'm getting distracted, it's over.
But here's a good one from my WhatsApp friend. I keep, every time I have an issue with the law, I keep WhatsApping Nitin Menon and he's very good at replying. So here's one for a WhatsApp. If he's not standing in today's game.
Good one. Also, who was it? Curtly Ambrose, who was told to take off his sweatpants by Dean Jones.
Poor Dean Jones. He never lived that down. Of course, he dined on that story more often than anyone else did. He was a great storyteller.
Correct. It's the old story of Malcolm Nash making more money than Gary Sobers because Gary Sobers hit him for 6 sixes because he told the story more often. I think 143 is good. Is a decent score, but I think South Africa will be disappointed if they don't chase it down. As long as they've got Quinton de Kock out of their head and all the incidents around out of their head, I think they should be able to chase 143 because I haven't seen anything on this track that suggests that batting is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and nothing either in the body language of the 11 that suggested that it's bothering them for now, Joy. Perhaps batting may be a little bit harder because you're obviously a new person stepping into that opening slot. South Africa have confirmed that was the reason. So whatever speculation we had was actually right.
No, absolutely. I think they've confirmed it. They have, and they've made it very unambiguous about what they feel about the issue. Now I think what South Africa needs to do is just put it out of their head and play. I thought they got the tricks right today. I mean, Dwayne Pretorius, obviously that fielding position, they've thought through quite a few things. Nokia bowling to Andre Russell and Pollard when they're trying to hit hard. They've done their work. The bowlers have done their work. I think the plans have worked. Now it's the batting plans.
The only thing I feel, and I don't know where you stand on this, Harsha, is the presence of the South African captain at the moment. He just doesn't seem to be there. He seems to be somewhere else. When there's a review, he comes running in. Yeah, what happened? Yeah, okay, fine, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, remember, he's still a new captain. He's also one of their best fielders. So he's probably fielding in slightly squarer or not as straight positions as ever. So he's got to go with what his wicketkeeper is saying or what his bowler is saying. But yeah, Temba. I hope he bats well. When he bats well, it's good. But
we certainly do.
Didn't he like Gus Logie take a great catch at short leg? The run out is part of folklore, of course. But yeah, I still think they're batting till 7. Maharaj can bat a little bit. Rabada can bat a little bit as he did the other day. So
key weapon for you with the ball in hand. Akil Hussain, obviously the acrobatic catch we remember, but will be playing a role perhaps even in the power play. He's done that in the CPL too. So do you think he's going to be the key for West Indies to try and defend this, and Hayden Walsh?
Look, they don't have pace. There is no pace in this West Indies side because they've got Ravi Rampal who's taking pace off. The only one who'll provide pace is Andre Russell. And I don't know how much Russell is going to bowl given his history of illnesses, given his history of muscle issues. So Russell is the only one providing pace. We saw Nokia's pace worked on this track. I know Rabada got a wicket with that. First time I've seen Rabada bowl that one. Yeah, but he got a wicket with that. So I'm not sure this is a track for taking off pace. I think Akil Hussain's early overs would be important, and to see how South Africans play the leg spin of Hayden Walsh.
That will be. How often, Joy, do we say that West Indian pace battery? It used to be a phrase almost, and the fastest bowler that is probably in the tournament is sitting in the dugout now with the Scrabble board in hand that Andre Russell has relinquished in O'Shane Thomas.
No, I was just thinking, and even if you bowl Russell, if he has to bowl also, might just bowl 17th, 18th, 19th overs. So you might not see anything which is close to quick till that time. I mean, you could just have 15, 16 overs of slow and spin.
Yeah. He sometimes bowls 1 or 2 in the power play. I suspect they'll go Ravi Rampal a little bit in the power play, go Akil Hussain a lot in the power play, and maybe get 1 out of Bravo and Russell.
Well, I can tell you one thing before we go off the show. Just because we waited for the game to start, Harsha's wish of wanting Temba Bavuma to have a big one is not going to come true because a direct hit has sent Temba Bavuma back to the pavilion. First blow to the West Indies, not from a bowler, but from a throw, probably from Andre Russell. So whether or not he bowls or not, he's had his first blow with a run out. That's all we have on the show. Plenty to talk about. We've got a few interesting more off-field issues, which we'll wait till the mid-show between the two games to discuss. For now, Joy, Harsha, thank you very much. We'll see all of you in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. That's all from Cricbuzz Live.